Imagine finding a relic that could change your life forever. But what if that change came with an impossible price? One man's quest for forgotten power led him to accidentally summon an ancient guardian. And now, its escalating demands are pushing him to the brink. Can he escape a pact that scrutinizes his every move, or is his fate sealed? Our story kicks off with Elias Thorne, a guy from the heart of Boston, Massachusetts. Elias wasn't your typical 9-to-5 drone. He was a historian with a fire in his belly for the obscure, the lost artifacts of civilizations long gone. Born in 1985 to a family of academics, his dad was a professor at Harvard, his mom a curator at the Museum of Fine Arts. Elias grew up surrounded by dusty books and ancient relics, but he wasn't content with just studying them in glass cases. No, Elias wanted to touch history, to feel its pulse. By his mid-30s, he'd already made a name for himself in niche circles, publishing papers on pre-Columbian artifacts and lecturing at small conferences. But deep down, he craved something bigger, a discovery that would etch his name into the annals of history. What drove him? Well, Elias had always been a bit of an outsider. In school, kids teased him for his nerdy obsessions, and even in adulthood, his relationships fizzled because he prioritized late-night research over date nights. He lived in a cramped apartment in Cambridge, walls lined with maps and shelves groaning under the weight of tomes from forgotten eras. His latest fixation? The Whispering Scroll, a legendary artifact said to hold the secrets of an ancient Andean civilization, predating even the Incas. Rumors whispered that it wasn't just a scroll, but a key to unlocking forgotten power, whatever that meant. Some said it granted wisdom, others claimed it could bend reality. Elias dismissed the supernatural bits as folklore, but the historical value? That was gold. The scroll's supposed location was in the remote ruins of Chavín de Huántar in Peru, a place shrouded in mist and mystery. Local legends spoke of a dormant protector, a guardian spirit that watched over sacred sites, punishing those who disturbed them. Elias had heard these tales during his preliminary research trips to Lima, where indigenous guides shared stories around campfires. The guardian sleeps, one elder told him, eyes wide with warning. But wake it, and it will claim your soul. Elias chuckled it off as superstition, the kind that kept tomb raiders at bay. He was a man of science, after all. In the summer of 2022, Elias finally got his chance. Funded by a small grant from a private collector in New York, he flew from Boston to Lima, then trekked deep into the Andes. The journey was grueling. Altitude sickness hit him hard, and the paths were slick with rain. But Elias pressed on, his backpack heavy with notebooks, a digital camera, and a translated copy of an old Spanish chronicle that described the scroll's hiding spot. He arrived at the ruins under a full moon, the stone temples casting long shadows that danced in the wind. Picture this: Elias, alone in the dead of night, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. He found a hidden chamber, just as the chronicle described, crumbling walls etched with symbols that looked like twisted vines and watchful eyes. At the center, half buried in dirt, was a stone altar. On it lay a fragment of parchment, brittle and faded. His heart raced. This had to be it, or at least a clue to the Whispering Scroll. The chronicle mentioned a ritual of awakening, to reveal hidden texts, something the ancient priests supposedly performed. Elias, ever the reenactor, decided to try it. It was harmless, right? Just words and gestures to immerse himself in the history. He cleared his throat, lit a small candle for authenticity, and began chanting the phonetic incantations from the book. The words felt strange on his tongue, harsh syllables that echoed off the walls. He waved his hands in the prescribed patterns, feeling a bit silly, like he was play-acting in a bad movie. But as he finished the last phrase, something shifted. The air grew thick, heavy with an unseen pressure. His candle flickered wildly, casting shadows that seemed to stretch and twist on their own. A chill ran down his spine, not from the mountain cold, but from a deep primal sense of being observed. Elias froze, scanning the chamber. Nothing. No one. He shook it off as adrenaline and exhaustion, packed up the parchment fragment, and hiked back to his camp. But that night, in his tent, sleep evaded him. Whispers teased at the edge of his hearing. Faint, like wind through leaves, but forming words he couldn't quite grasp. By morning he felt different, energized almost. Ideas flooded his mind, connections between historical dots he'd never seen before. He attributed it to the thrill of discovery. Little did he know, the ritual wasn't innocuous. He'd awakened something ancient, a guardian tied to the scroll's power, and it had latched onto him. If this is hooking you already, pause for a second and hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And hey, what would you do if you felt eyes on you in the dead of night, miles from civilization? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Back to Elias. He returned to the States triumphant, the parchment authenticated as genuine by experts at his university. Headlines in academic journals praised his find, and invitations to speak poured in. But subtle changes crept in. Objects in his apartment moved slightly when he wasn't looking. A book opened to a specific page, his keys in a different spot. At first, he blamed forgetfulness. Then came the dreams. Vivid visions of towering figures in mist, demanding service in exchange for knowledge. Elias woke sweating, heart pounding. One evening, as he pored over translations in his dimly lit study, a voice echoed in his mind, clear, insistent, like a whisper from within. You have called me, seeker. Now you must pay the first toll. Elias bolted upright, looking around. No one. But the voice continued. Bring me the feather of a condor from the peaks where I once soared. It was specific, oddly poetic. Condors? Those were protected birds in Peru, sacred to the ancients. Elias laughed nervously, thinking he was cracking under stress. But the next day, an email arrived from a colleague in Lima, an invitation to a conservation conference with access to restricted Andean zones. Coincidence? Maybe, but Elias felt compelled. He booked a flight, telling friends it was for follow-up research. Deep down, a nagging pull drew him back. The Guardian's first demand was simple, testing the waters. But it was just the beginning. As Elias boarded the plane at Logan Airport, he glanced over his shoulder, that watched feeling intensifying. Little did he know, the pact was sealing one feather at a time. Alright folks, if you're still with me after that intense setup, give this video a share with a friend who loves a good mystery. It keeps these stories coming your way. And subscribe if you haven't yet. We've got so many more tales lined up. Now, let's dive deeper into Elias's descent. Remember, this isn't fiction. It's pieced from real diaries Elias kept, shared posthumously by his sister, and corroborated by people who saw the changes in him firsthand. Elias landed back in Peru, the air crisp and thin in the highlands. The conference was a cover, but it got him into a restricted conservation zone near Huascarán National Park, a vast expanse of jagged peaks where Andean condors wheeled overhead. The Guardian's voice had grown stronger in his head, guiding him with eerie precision. The third peak at dawn, where the wind sings. Elias hiked alone, camera slung around his neck to maintain the pretense of research. As the sun crested, he spotted a nest, impossibly close, as if arranged for him. Plucking a single feather felt wrong, a violation of everything he stood for as a historian who respected cultures. But the voice promised knowledge in return. Secrets of the scroll that could revolutionize archaeology. He did it, pocketing the feather and rushing back. That night, in his hotel room, he placed it on the windowsill as instructed. A gust of wind scattered papers, and suddenly, his mind flooded with insights. Translations clicking into place, hidden meanings revealed. The scroll wasn't just a record. It was a blueprint for harnessing natural forces, like ancient tech. Elias returned to Boston elated, his work accelerating. He published a groundbreaking paper on Chavín symbology, crediting inspiration from the field. Colleagues marveled at his sudden genius. But the toll began. Sleepless nights plagued him. The voice now whispered constantly, critiquing his every thought. You are mine now, Elias. Serve well. The demands escalated. The second one came a month later. Acquire a living creature from the depths, one that swims in forbidden waters. What? Elias puzzled over it. The voice clarified. A rare species of catfish from a protected Amazon tributary, off limits to outsiders. This wasn't just a fetch quest. It required sneaking into a conservation zone in Peru's rainforest, risking arrest or worse. Alligators, pirates, you name it. Elias resisted at first. He tried ignoring the voice, drowning it with music, even seeing a therapist who diagnosed stress-induced hallucinations. But the Guardian retaliated subtly. Headaches crippled him, visions of his failures replayed in loops. Then, temptations. He found himself with unexplained funds in his account, enough for a ticket. A contact in Iquitos emailed out of the blue, offering a guided tour into restricted areas. What do you think, viewers? If a voice in your head promised power but demanded crimes, would you fight or fold? Let me know in the comments. Your answers always spark great discussions. Elias folded. He flew to Peru again, this time to the sweltering Amazon. The journey was hellish. Mosquitoes, humidity that soaked through clothes, and guides who eyed him suspiciously. Deep in the jungle, he netted the catfish from a murky stream, heart thumping with guilt. Back home, he released it into a tank as per instructions, and boom, more revelations. The scroll's power involved binding spirits to mortals, enhancing abilities. Elias noticed changes. He healed faster from cuts, intuited languages he hadn't studied. But the cost? Paranoia set in. He alienated friends, snapping at innocent questions. His once neat appearance turned haggard, bags under eyes, unkempt hair. His sister, Mia, visited from Chicago, worried. "Eli, you look like you've seen a ghost," she said. He brushed her off, but inside he knew it was worse. He'd invited one in. The Guardian's manipulations deepened. Elias gained gifts. Lockpicking skills he never learned, charisma that swayed skeptics. It made demands achievable, hooking him like a drug. The third demand: steal an artifact from a museum in Lima, a small idol linked to the scroll. This crossed lines. It was theft, international crime. Elias balked, but the voice twisted. "Do this, and I'll reveal how to break our bond." A lie? Maybe, but hope flickered. He pulled it off using newfound stealth. Back in the US, customs somehow missed it. The idol amplified the voice, now a constant companion. Elias's life unraveled. Job on the line, relationships shattered. He moved to a secluded cabin in the Massachusetts woods, isolating himself. The physical toll mounted: weight loss, tremors. Mentally, he questioned reality. Was the Guardian real, or his madness? Yet the knowledge flowed. He uncovered global connections, similar Guardians in myths worldwide, from Egyptian watchers to Celtic fae. The Whispering Scroll was part of a network, ancient safeguards against human hubris. As demands piled on, Elias realized the pattern. Each task bound him tighter, eroding his will. The Guardian wasn't just demanding, it was reshaping him into a tool. If this story's got you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like and share it. Spreading the word helps me bring more of these hidden gems to light. And subscribe for updates. Next week, we've got another mindbender lined up. Quick question to keep you engaged. Have you ever felt like something unseen was guiding your decisions? Share your experiences below. Elias's world shrank to the cabin, a fortress against the outside but a prison within. The Guardian's voice evolved, less whisper, more command. It revealed fragments of its nature. An ancient entity, bound to the ruins eons ago by shamans to protect sacred knowledge. Elias's ritual had freed it partially, tethering it to him as a host. "You are my vessel," it intoned. "Through you, I reclaim what was lost." Demands grew bizarre, dangerous. Fourth, poison a rival archaeologist's reputation with forged evidence. Elias, once ethical, complied, planting digital trails that ruined the man's career. In return, superhuman endurance, he ran marathons without training. But guilt gnawed. He confided in a journal, "I'm becoming a monster. Is this power worth my soul?" The fifth demand pushed boundaries. Infiltrate a U.S. government archive in Washington, D.C., for declassified files on ancient artifacts. Elias, now paranoid, saw watchers everywhere. He succeeded, using manipulated connections. A senator's aide owed him a favor, inexplicably. The files hinted at global cover-ups. Similar summonings in history, leading to wars, discoveries. Physical changes accelerated. Elias's eyes darkened, veins prominent. He avoided mirrors, haunted by the stranger staring back. Mia called daily, pleading for help. "Come home, Eli." He hung up, fearing he'd drag her in. The Guardian's manipulations peaked. It granted visions of alternate lives, Elias famous, wealthy, if he obeyed. Disobey and nightmares of isolation. Dependency cemented. He couldn't imagine life without the gifts. A turning point. During a demand to sabotage a dig in Mexico, Elias met Sophia, a fellow historian. Sparks flew. She saw his torment. "What's eating you?" she asked. For a moment he confessed fragments. But the Guardian intervened. A sudden migraine, a warning whisper. He pushed her away, but doubt seeded. Demands escalated to life-threatening. Assassinate a threat, a collector hoarding scroll pieces. Elias refused, enduring agony. The Guardian relented, but punished with isolation. Friends distanced mysteriously. Elias delved deeper, researching banishments. In a Boston library he found a rite, but it required sacrifice. The voice laughed. "You think you can escape? You are part of me now." His monologue began forming, whispered to himself. "I've unleashed something vast, ancient. It's not just me. It's preparing for more." Wow, if you've made it this far, you're a trooper. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell for the full immersion in stories like this. Share with your crew if it's giving you chills. And ponder this. If you discovered a power that cost your freedom, would you embrace it or fight till the end? Comments are open. Elias, a shell of himself, sat in the cabin's dim light, recording a video on his phone. His final testament, later found by authorities. "If you're watching this," he rasped, eyes hollow, "know that I didn't mean to. The Guardian. It's real. It started with curiosity, a ritual I thought was play. Now, I'm its instrument." He detailed the pact. Demands starting small, building to global scales. The Guardian's scope? Not just Peru, tendrils worldwide, influencing events. Ancient goals. Restore balance, but twisted, eliminating unworthy humans. Elias, key player, tasked with awakening others. "I'm not a victim anymore," he said, voice breaking.
"I'm devoted."
"It owns me." Hints of terror. Visions of cataclysms, Elias at the center. The video cut. Elias vanished. Cabin empty. Rumors. Sightings in ruins. A shadowy figure. What power did he unleash? What else brews? The lingering dread. Guardians everywhere. Waiting. Your move next? Stay vigilant, folks. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time.